The fantasy football season is coming to an end. It's time to turn to the offseason and start preparing for your 2024 rookie drafts. We're going to get you ready for them with a preview here through a 4-round super flex, no tight end premium PPR rookie mock draft. Before we get into the video, do me a favor. If you enjoy the video, if it helps you prepare for your 2024 rookie drafts, give the video a like and drop a comment. Ask anything about the video, debate one of my selections. I love to have that back and forth. Or just ask a general rookie draft 2024, dynasty fantasy football question. I love having that discourse back and forth, and it gets more eyes on the video, which of course I always appreciate. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it here. No need to get cute with the first pick. We're going to go with quarterback Caleb Williams out of USC. Now, Caleb Williams, understandably so, has come under a microscope here in the 2023 season. But the former Heisman Trophy winner has all the traits you're looking for when projecting a impact player at the quarterback position in the NFL. He is a true dual threat weapon. He's got a big arm. He's got great arm talent. He's able to adjust velocities well at all three levels of the field. He's able to be accurate at all three levels of the field. Caleb Williams also has a great ability to improvise. So that's where you're going to hear a lot of Patrick Mahomes comparisons. He can drop that arm angle. He improvises well under pressure. And we saw he was playing under pressure for most of the 2023 season. Caleb Williams is a great athlete, so he has that rushing ability. He has the ability to have 600-700 rushing yards in a season at the next level. He can scramble under pressure. He can execute design runs. There's a lot to like here of Caleb Williams, and I'm projecting him as a future quarterback one in fantasy football. Coming in here at 102, he's going to be wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. Yes, this is a super flex format, but for me, it is still Marvin Harrison Jr. That should come off the board second. And quite frankly, folks, I wouldn't be surprised if in some of your leagues, Marvin Harrison Jr. comes off the board first. He is as close to a can't-miss prospect as you can get, especially at the wide receiver position. Marvin Harrison Jr. has a really well-rounded skill set. He has excellent hands, a great catch radius, great vertical athleticism. He is a fluid, smooth runner. He navigates the field with ease. He gets in and through his cuts very well. He's a great route runner. He creates space consistently. Running in a straight line, he has good speed that's going to hold up well in the NFL. And did I mention, folks, he's 6'4", he's over 200 pounds, so he's got great size. An NFL team is going to be looking for him to be a true boundary X wide receiver, and it would not shock me for him to see over 100 targets as a rookie in the NFL. Coming up here with the 103, we're going to go with quarterback Drake May out of UNC. Now, Drake May went into the season as quarterback 2, and he's getting a little bit of competition now, but at least at this point in time, I'm going to stick with Drake May as quarterback 2. I expect him to be a top 5 NFL draft selection. He improved considerably, in my opinion, in terms of his mechanics this year. I saw a big improvement in his footwork, more consistent, which really helped his total mechanics. That release was more consistent for me as well this year. That it resulted in better accuracy, and I thought better decision-making in the second half of the season. Drake May has a big arm. He is a pocket passer, prototypical NFL size, so he's going to be able to push the ball downfield. The other thing to keep in mind when it comes to Drake May's fantasy football potential is that he is a good athlete. He can move the pocket, he throws well on the run, and he is quick enough and has enough burst and field vision that he can execute design runs, especially in the red zone. So for me, when I think of Drake May, I think of Dak Prescott. When he was consistently putting up those quarterback 1 seasons, it was because he was getting 5-6 rushing touchdowns at a time, per season, I should say. And I could really see Drake May having that type of floor with his game as well. I don't know that Drake May will ever be the quarterback 1 overall for fantasy football, but I think he's going to be a quarterback 1, meaning a top 12 fantasy football quarterback, and live in that 12 to 16 range over the course of his career, which is a very valuable thing to have at the quarterback position. All right, coming up at 104 is the fastest rising rookie, and that is Jayden Daniels, the quarterback out of LSU. Jayden Daniels has taken a huge leap forward in terms of his passing ability and what he's put on tape in this 2023 season. Daniels looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He feels pressure well and sticks in the pocket under pressure. He's willing to stick in there and make a big time throw while taking a hit. That is a big improvement from the first half of the 2022 season, especially. Daniels has nice touch on his ball. He leads his receivers well downfield. Daniels, on top of all of that, is a next level rushing prospect. I mean, when he is running the ball, he's explosive, he's elusive, he's athletic, he's able to, outrun SEC defensive backs. So he's going to be a real explosive playmaker at the next level. I do expect he's going to have top 10 NFL draft capital at this point in time, which is why I feel so comfortable bumping him up to 104. Coming off the board, 105 here is going to be Malik Nabers, the wide receiver out of LSU. Malik Nabers is a really well-rounded wide receiver prospect, and he's settling into that consensus wide receiver 2 amongst the fantasy football community. Now, Malik Nabers has a great release. He separates with physical hands before and after the catch. He's consistently separating throughout his routes. He's got sticky hands. He's got good vertical athleticism. He's fluid working around the field. I think we're going to have some scheme versatility with Malik Nabers. I think he's going to be best used as a flanker at the next level, but you can really line him up all around the field. I expect him to have top 20 NFL draft capital. He's checking all the boxes that you want to see, and I certainly could see him having a projection of between 85 and 90 targets as a rookie, and he could find the end zone at least a half a dozen times. So there's a lot to be excited about there with Malik Nabers. And at 106 here, we're going to go with Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia. Now, in a tight end premium format, especially depending on how high the premium is, we certainly could see Bowers coming off the board, 4, 5, maybe even 3 if it's a super juiced up premium for tight ends. I want to go ahead and say this for the 100th time. Brock Bowers is not Kyle Pitts. I had no exposure to Kyle Pitts. I'm going to get a pretty healthy exposure to Brock Bowers. He's an athletic pass catcher, but he's also physical, all right? So he can put his hand in the ground, he can block, he can drive guys back in run blocking. He holds his own when he is asked to stay in pass protection. That doesn't happen often. So I'm leading with the blocking here with Brock Bowers because he's going to get on the field early and he's going to be valuable to an NFL team. Now, he's going to be valuable to you from a fantasy football perspective because he's got great hands. I mentioned his athleticism, and he works really well after the catch as well. He's a physical runner. He fights to the end of plays, and he's going to be a big target in the end zone at the next level. Now, before we get to the 107 here, I want to put a caveat into this rookie draft. I am not just reading off of my rankings, and you're going to see that especially as we get into the rest of this here. I'm combining my rookie rankings here. I have over 50 players worth of tape review already done, but I'm also matching that with consensus, what I'm hearing from around the fantasy football community. And also the comments you leave on these videos helps influence, my opinion on where I think players are going to go. I'm trying to give you an accurate representation of where players are going to go. I'm not just going to read off of my personal rankings because you can head on over to patreon.com/rookiebigboard and check out my personal rankings. It's a dynamic rookie rankings. You could see the film eval on all of these guys, and you can compare them directly to dynasty and devy values as well. So you know exactly where I expect these guys to land in the fantasy football landscape. The link to join over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard will be in the episode description. And folks, I got to tell you, now is the time to get in on it. All right, get ahead of your league mates. You want to get in on the Discord for that personalized insight and advice. It is a fun time of the year to be a part of the Rookie Big Board community. So let's go ahead and get into 107 here. And that's going to be Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State. Now, Keon Coleman has gotten knocked in popularity over the last, I'd say, month or so. And I understand because Coleman is a bit raw, but he is a super dynamic athlete for his size. So he's 6'4", 200 pounds, and he has ridiculous straight line speed for that size. So he's going to be an excellent boundary target at the next level. I think he's got great ball tracking ability. I see him separate before the catch, and I am not the guy that sits here and touts contested catch guys, right? But the key difference here is that Keon Coleman does consistently separate before the catch point. And that's what makes the difference for me. That's why I'm still in on Keon Coleman. And I think he's raw, folks. So he's got a super high ceiling, which at 107, I'm willing to lean into that ceiling a little bit here. All right, coming off the board at 108, we're going to go with a Rome Odunze. Now, I think Odunze is a more popular selection right now as wide receiver 3. I've seen some folks even have Rome Odunze up there as their wide receiver 2, and I certainly understand. Odunze is quick, he's twitchy. We saw that similar contested catchability from Rome Odunze this year. He really dominated at the catch point, but I did not see Odunze separate before the catch point, which is a key difference that I make when looking at contested catchability. I struggle with Odunze a little bit just because for fantasy football projection here, I see him as a bit of a tweener, and I'm not sure how an NFL team is going to use him. So I'm taking Odunze after Coleman because I believe that landing spot for Odunze is going to matter much, much more than it's going to matter for Keon Coleman. It's pick 109, and we will finally have a running back come off the board, and it's going to be TreVeyon Henderson, the running back out of Ohio State. Now, TreVeyon Henderson, he's explosive. He's got good pop off the line. If he has clear spacing and get into the second level of the field, he accelerates well downfield. He's willing to be physical, and he also holds up really well in pass protection, so he has the ability to stay out on third down for an NFL team. Now, it's worth pointing out here that the first running back coming off the board at 109, that's super late for any draft class, but it is a down running back class, and it is definitely a way up wide receiver class. So TreVeyon Henderson, he might not even be a top 50 NFL draft selection, but he is definitely the more popular running back 1 pick right now. At 110, we're going to go with my running back 1 currently, and that's Braylon Allen, the running back out of Wisconsin. Braylon Allen is physical. He's got good vision. He wins in tight space. I think he's shiftier and more athletic than people give him credit for. You see his contact balance. He's physical. He powers through Big Ten defenders, and he's able to get to that second level of the field. Now, Braylon Allen isn't considered a running back 1 for a lot of folks because he's not going to go to Indianapolis and run the best 40 time. And yeah, in a lot of classes, Braylon Allen would be the running back 4 or 5. But in this class, for me, he's the clear running back 1. I think he's going to come in, be an instant, running back 2 for fantasy football purposes. So I think he's going to land in that running back 18 to 24 range, and he's going to be an instant starter on your team. So you don't have to use that high draft capital on him in this, rookie mock draft. I don't think you're going to have to in yours either. And you're still going to get a plug and play running back 2 on your roster. I mean, that's super valuable with the way the fantasy football landscape is going right now. So I'd be happy to take him here. At 111 is my guy, Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon. I'm a big fan of Troy Franklin, in specifically because he can consistently separate at all 3 levels of the field. He's quick. He is a clean route runner. He's got sticky hands. Now, a lot of folks are going to look at Troy Franklin, look at that weight, see that he's sub 190, going to get a little bit nervous about that. I see a lot of Devonta Smith here in the way that Troy Franklin wins at all 3 levels of the field and consistently separates. I like Franklin's ability to play along the boundary, or you can scoot him inside. Have him run up the seam at the next level. I think he's going to be a really effective guy. I think he could get 80 targets as a rookie, and I think he could be the type of guy that gets a really nice ADOT, and he finds the end zone a healthy number of times. And then sneaking in here at 112, we're going to get one more quarterback prospect in, and that will be J.J. McCarthy. Now, J.J. McCarthy's been taking a lot of hits lately. He's not the most popular prospect, but I've been in on JJ early, and I'm going to stick on it. If he declares, I do believe he is a locked-in first-round NFL draft pick. I think he's got a great mechanical foundation. I think he's got the best mechanical foundation of any quarterback in the class right now. Excellent platform, consistent release, a smooth throwing motion. I think he's a great decision maker. He's not given enough credit for that. He throws very well on the run. His accuracy does not drop off on the run. He's a gunslinger, man. He could fire the ball in on a tightrope, and he's got a lot of examples to do that. Just because Michigan doesn't ask him to do it every single time doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to do it. I know I'm on an island with J.J. McCarthy, but I'm going to stick on that island because that's how we create value sometimes. All right, heading into the second round here, we're going to move a little bit quicker, starting at 201 with wide receiver Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. A lot of chatter that Emeka Egbuka may be returning, but if he does declare, we're looking at somebody who is a great possession wide receiver, great hands, worked very well underneath. He's quick, he's smooth, he separates. The reason he's down here at 201 is because we consistently saw him working at the lower level of the field, which doesn't translate as well for fantasy football purposes. I think he can do more at the next level for an NFL offense, and I do think he would be a top 50 NFL draft selection. At 202 is going to be running back Trey Benson out of Florida State. I'm not a fan of Trey Benson. I think he has questionable vision. He runs into the back of his offensive lineman. You could see he misses cutback lanes really consistently, but he is powerful. He is explosive. And I know a lot of folks like Trey Benson. There's going to be some folks in your league who have Trey Benson as their running back one. He's not it for me, but I couldn't drop him any further than 202 because I do think you could see him going even in the late first round of your fantasy football leagues. And then at 203 here is somebody who I don't think we're talking about a lot yet, but whose draft capital may surprise you. And that's wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. Thomas Jr. is a big body guy, 6'4", 220, really well along the boundary. One of those go up and get it type wide receivers. He's physical and he really dominates at the catch point. I think he could be a first round NFL wide receiver here because there's going to be a team who's looking for that big man type drafting at the end of the first round. And when you're drafting at the end of the first round, you might just find yourself in a more dynamic offense and create some real fantasy football buzz. Speaking of buzz here at 204, Tez Walker, the wide receiver out of UNC, he is creating a ton of buzz. And I am not this high on Tez Walker. I think he's still a little bit raw, but he is a clean route runner. He has great hands, and he showed the ability in about 8 games at UNC to be productive, to work really well into the downfield, to beat defensive backs near the catch point here, and certainly displayed good hands. But for me, I think he's a really raw route runner. I'd like to see a little bit more polish. I really wish Tez had gone back for another year at UNC, but he did declare, and I do think there's going to be some big Walker fans that are going to push his ADP up higher than I'm comfortable with it. At 205, I'm going to go with one of my guys here. I'll be happy if he slides down to 205. He was a big surprise for me in a positive way out of my film review, and that's Xavier Leggett, the wide receiver out of USC, the University of South Carolina, the real USC, 6'3", 225. Leggett is a physical boundary monster. He goes up and dominates defensive backs. He's comfortable working in traffic. He can cut a mean slant. For that size, he moves very fast downfield and he separates consistently. He's got really nice, reliable hands. I think Xavier Leggett could be a huge impact player at the next level. And at 206 here, we're going to go with running back Blake Corum. Corum's a guy that I really struggled to place an ADP on. I like everything about Blake Corum's game. He's physical. He's got good vision. He understands cutback lanes very well. He can contribute to the passing game when he's asked to. He's got a good anchor. He can stay in and protect. So I think he can be a 3-down back at the next level, but I don't think he's going to start off a 3-down back at the next level. He's 5'8", about 210 pounds, I believe, is his weigh in. So he's not the biggest type guy, but I think he's going to hold his own in the NFL. I think he's going to start definitely as a rotational committee back, which is why his ADP is going to be pushed down a little bit. He'll probably be a late second round, most likely third round selection. So the draft capital won't be super high, but the talent is absolutely there. And Blake Corum has done nothing but produce at the college level. So I think if you can get him at 206 or later in your rookie drafts, you're going to be really happy with the value he returns as a running back 3 type guy early in his career with some real running back 2 type upside. All right, from 207 to 209, we're going to do a little bit of a longhorn run here. So I'm going to start at 207 with Jatavion Sanders, the tight end out of Texas. Sanders in a tight end premium format could be going as high as the early second round. He is a great pass catcher. He's athletic. I thought he improved a lot as a blocker, especially a run blocker in 2023. He's got nice hands. He runs a decent amount of routes, for the fact that he is a tight end. He can run a comeback route. He can cut a slant, so he can get a little bit of separation in that way. And he's certainly going to be a borderline top 50 NFL draft pick. So I think he's going to come with some nice draft capital as well. Next up here, we're going to go with Xavier Worthy. My favorite wide receiver out of Texas. I think he's explosive. He wins downfield. He's super fast. I think we're going to be looking at a sub 4.40 time, which is going to push up his NFL draft stock, and it's certainly going to push up his ADP as well. He's got good hands. We saw a big improvement in his hands and his consistency winning in the deep field in 2023. And then next up here, we're going to go with his teammate, fellow wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell, who is also explosive. He's going to come with a little bit more size here. Adonai Mitchell, 6'4", 200, compared to Xavier Worthy here, who's coming in at 6 foot, sub 180. But Adonai Mitchell, you can really play him all around the field. He's always been explosive, but he's never had consistently high production. We saw a good run of that for Texas here towards the end of the season. So it'll be really interesting to see where the NFL values him. But I do think we're going to see a run of Longhorns in the mid to late second round of your fantasy football rookie drafts. Coming in at 210 here is going to be Jayden Polk. I struggle with Polk. I think he's going to be a good, solid projection to the next level, which is why I have him here as a late second round pick. But there's certainly folks who like Polk a lot more than me. I think he's, like I said, really well rounded. I think he's got good hands. I think he's a good route runner. I think he's got good vertical ability. But I don't see anything special that stands out trait-wise for Polk, and I always tend to lean away from those guys that don't have a special trait that can help them stand out at the next level. At 211 here, I'm going to go to the running back position, and I'm going to go with Audric Estime, the big man from Notre Dame. He's physical. He's got great contact balance. He's somebody we could see potentially racking up double-digit touchdowns at the next level. Again, no running back we're going to talk about from this point on is going to be a workhorse back. It really doesn't exist at the next level in the NFL, and it's not going to exist very deep into this running back class. But I think Audric Estime could be a high-volume guy. We're talking 180, 200 carries early on in his career. And if he's able to turn that into some touchdowns, that's going to be definitely a good return on your fantasy football investment. And then we're going to finish off the second round here with Marshawn Lloyd, the running back at a USC. And I'm a big fan of Marshawn Lloyd. He's super athletic. He's super elusive. I think he's a great pass catcher. He's got good vision for the position. He's going to be at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, and I think Marshawn Lloyd is the type of guy who could see a big jump in his stock. So I have him at 212 now. I could see him going closer to where Blake Corum went in this draft, 206 by the time we actually roll around to May and have our rookie drafts. All right, round 3. Let's keep this thing moving here, pick up the pace a little bit. We're going to go with Cody Schrader at 301, the running back at Mizzou. Cody Schrader, this is my guy. I'm calling it early. He's going to be a day 3 running back selection, but I think he's going to pop, and I think he's going to make a fantasy football impact. He's tenacious. He's scrappy. He's got great vision. He'll fit through holes that he has no business fitting through here. He's explosive. I think he works really well into that second level of the field. He's got good pop in the passing game as well. He's got good yards after catch ability. He does everything very well. We're talking about a D2 transfer that came up to Mizzou and put up big productive seasons here. I love everything about the guy. I think he's going to translate well to the next level. 302, Bucky Irving out of Oregon. I got to tell you, I really liked what I saw from Bucky Irving on his tape. He was quick. He was athletic. I thought he had good vision. He saw cutback lanes well. Bucky Irving, for some folks, might even end up a top 3 running back. I've heard a lot of Bucky Irving hype, so you might have to feel out your league mates. If you decide that he's a sleeper you like, you might actually have to invest more of a late second round pick here on Bucky Irving. And at 303 in a super flex format, it's time to go to Bo Nix here. I like Bo Nix. Is he going to be a day 1 NFL starter? No. But I think he has good decision-making. I think he's got good pocket presence. He's got enough arm talent to win at the next level. In the right scheme, the guy in front of him goes down. Bo Nix can step in and be a quarterback 2 type and really consistent for you. So we've seen this year, it's important, right, to pay attention to who the backup quarterbacks are because they got a lot of run this year, and I don't see that changing necessarily in a huge way over the next couple of years. 304 is Roman Wilson. This is a guy who I don't think is getting enough credit. If I had to put my money on it, I think Roman Wilson is the fastest wide receiver at the combine. I think sub 4.4 is a locked in for this guy. And he's more than speed, though. He's a great route runner. He's got good hands. I think there's a lot to like about Roman Wilson, the wide receiver out of Michigan, and I don't think he's getting enough credit. At 305 here, we're going to go with Michael Penix Jr. Because I took Bo Nix, I have to take Penix Jr. Only joking a little bit on that one. Here's the thing. Michael Penix Jr. is probably going to go ahead of Bo Nix in most rookie drafts because there are a lot of big-time Michael Penix Jr. fans, and I get it. He's got a big arm in terms of his ability to throw into the deep field. It's a really pretty ball. He wins consistently in the deep field. But if you watch the Michael Penix Jr. tape, folks, it's a lot of toss-up balls. Michael Penix Jr.'s tape review just made me appreciate Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, and Jayden Polk even more because he was tossing up a lot of 50-50 balls and letting those guys do the work. I think his accuracy is overstated, if I'm being honest. And folks, for fantasy football purposes, he's stuck in the pocket. He is a pocket passer, and we haven't even touched on the fact that his draft capital is not going to be as high as a lot of folks probably expect. We're talking about a guy who's had 2 ACL injuries in his career. He's got 2 upper body injuries, including to his throwing shoulder. I'm trying to temper down the Michael Penix Jr. hype. At 306, we'll take his teammate, Jalen McMillan, one of those guys I was just talking about. A really nice possession wide receiver here. Think he could work well underneath. He can stretch into the deep field. I think he will be a day 3 selection, where his teammates probably will be more of day 2 selections. But I don't think we can just, look past Jalen McMillan. 307, I'm going to go with Will Shipley out of Clemson. Shipley's fantasy football upside comes with his pass catching ability. He has reliable hands. Clemson used him often. He showed the ability to gain yards after the catch. Other than that, though, I do struggle a little bit with Will Shipley. And this is a guy I've been up and down on. Rookie Big Board patrons will know. I've kind of ebbed and flowed on Will Shipley, and I'm landing here as a 3rd round pick with him. I think he has good vision. I think he has good physicality. I think he has good quickness. But again, when you don't have those special traits, I struggle. Will Shipley, he does stand out a little bit still because of that pass catching ability. At 308 is one of my guys, Jamari Thrash out of Louisville. I like Thrash a lot. He was the clear X wide receiver for Louisville this year. He separates really consistently. He's got good hands. He's got great quickness. So I think there's a lot to like here with Jamari Thrash. And at 309 is a guy who I don't think is being talked about a lot, which is why I'm starting him here at 309. It wouldn't shock me if by the time we get to rookie draft season, he's 209, and that's going to be Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. I think McConkey's explosive. He's probably going to be like that big man slot at the next level, but he's explosive. He gets going quickly. He's a clean route runner. He doesn't run the whole route tree, but what he does run, he runs very clean, and he's got consistent hands. I think the injuries have kept him off the fantasy football radar, and you might be able to get a little bit of value there, but I do think he sneaks into day 2 for the NFL draft, so it's going to be a little bit of conflict here in terms of where he actually lands ADP-wise. 310, Dylan Johnson out of Washington. This is why it's important to do the deep dive, folks. Everybody I've talked about, I've got a film review on it, and you have the ability to check out that film review over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. Dylan Johnson, I flipped on the tape. He was the last running back I watched in my first round of 15 guys. And I didn't have high expectations, but I flipped it on and I saw a guy who was burstier than I thought, more physical than I thought he had good contact balance. He won consistently at the goal line. There's some juice and some pop here with Dylan Johnson. So at 310, I think he's the perfect type of guy to invest in as a rotational running back. And if a couple guys in front of him go down and he gets the chance to have that volume, I think he could be a really effective player. At 311 is Ray Davis. I like Ray Davis. I like him pretty much equal to Cody Schrader here, but he hasn't gotten the hype yet. So that's why I have him at 311. But he's somebody who, again, I could see really rising up. He's physical. I like his vision. I like his second level burst. I think he's got good downfield acceleration. He's got good contact balance. He wins at the goal line. Ray Davis is another guy. He'll be in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and I think you could see a big jump in his draft stock from Mobile. Finishing up the 3rd round here, we're going to go with Cade Stover, the tight end out of Ohio State. Cade Stover, to me, excellent blocker. I think he's a pro-ready blocker. He seals the edge really well. He can hold an anchor in pass protection, but Ohio State had him release a lot because he's a good pass catcher. He's reliable. He's pretty quick for his size, and he's effective after the catch. So he's probably going to go as a top 75 NFL draft selection. And I think that's really going to help put him on the fantasy football radar. All right, round 4. And folks, I cannot emphasize this enough. There is still value to be had from the guys that I'm going to talk about here in round 4. It's a really deep class, especially at the wide receiver position, and it's pushing down some really good value. So let's start here at 401 with Malachi Corley, the wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. You're going to hear a lot of Deebo Samuel comparisons because Corley is versatile. He can run the ball, but he's a great pass catcher. He's quick. He's physical after the catch. There's a lot to like here about Malachi Corley, the wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. 402, we're going to go with running back Jace McClellan out of Alabama. Listen, this is a guy, he does a lot of things well. I've been waiting for years for McClellan to just really kind of stand out, but no trait stands out. Consistent power, consistent contact balance. He's got solid quickness for his size. He's got solid athleticism for his size. He should be an early day 3 selection, so he'll come with some decent draft capital. At 403, I'm going to go with wide receiver Jacob Cowing out of Arizona. He's not getting a lot of hype. I believe he will be at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. He's a great slot wide receiver. I think he's going to be a really nice possession protection guy at the next level. And being a slot receiver isn't as limiting for fantasy football purposes as it used to be. 404 here, I'm going to go with quarterback Michael Pratt out of Tulane. I like Michael Pratt a lot. If you watch the quarterback preview video that I did, you'll see that he's one of my sleeper guys. I think he's got great mechanics. I think he's got enough arm talent. I think he's got enough mobility to be effective. He's not going to have high draft capital, but I do think he might sneak into day 2. And again, you want to have depth at the quarterback position right now, the way the NFL is going. A guy like Michael Pratt, who has good decision-making, who has good mechanics, who has good accuracy, he could definitely see himself having a significant opportunity to start and lead an NFL offense. 405, I'm going to go Johnny Wilson, the wide receiver out of Florida State. You might watch some mock drafts or hear from some people who think that he should be going in the second round. I just don't see it with Johnny Wilson. Folks, I have a really simple rule when it comes to wide receivers. It sounds, again, simple, but it's saved me on a lot of misses that other people have really caught themselves on. I like when my wide receivers can catch the ball, all right? And Johnny Wilson is chock full of drops throughout his tape. I know he's 6'7", all right? I know he can make some pretty catches, but that speed's going to slow him down at the next level. That inability to separate is going to catch up to him at the next level. And if he's dropping balls with defenders not near him, imagine what's going to happen when he's feeling NFL defensive backs breathing down his neck. Next up here, we're going to go with Ainias Smith, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. I struggle with Ainias Smith. He's versatile. He's super athletic. We haven't seen him on the field as much as we want, so hopefully we get a clear idea of who he is in Mobile. Next up at 407, we're going to go with Spencer Rattler, the quarterback out of South Carolina. I like Spencer Rattler as well. I think Rattler's got big arm strength. I think he's got a good mechanical foundation. I think he has really improved decision-making from 2022 to 2023. The reason Spencer Rattler is down here at 407 is because a lot of fantasy football folks feel burned on him, especially the Devy folks, the guys who have been following him for years. Spencer Rattler, had the potential to be the quarterback one in last year's class and hit a big drop-off, but I think he's really recovered from that. His name's still going to have a bad reputation, from fantasy purposes, but I think that could lead to some good value for him as a guy to stash on the bench. If he gets his shot to start, he could be a difference maker at the next level. 408, Jaheim Bell, kind of a athletic hybrid type tight end out of Florida State. I think he's a good pass catcher. He might even get used as a little bit of an H-back, which would get me a little concerned, but he's athletic, and we can lean into that upside there in the late 4th round. 409, we're going to go with Jermaine Burton, the wide receiver out of Alabama. Burton, if you just took his highlights and smushed them together over the course of his college career, you could make an argument for a top 50 wide receiver here, but it's been inconsistent still. I like his pass catching ability. I like his ability to work along the boundary, to go up and get a ball. He will separate. I think he's improved as a route runner, and so I do think Jermaine Burton is still a guy to look into here in the back end of the 4th round. At 410, we're going to go with Terrell Vaughn, the wide receiver out of Utah State. I think he was a really twitchy, quick wide receiver out of the group of 5, very productive here. I think he's going to be a late day 3 selection, but I do think he's somebody who can maybe start off as special teams and make his way into a volume-based role in the NFL. 411, we're going to go with tight end Jake Brenningstool out of Clemson. Brenningstool is an athletic tight end. He's a good pass catcher. He's able to put his hand in the dirt as well, be a two-way blocker. So I think there's a lot to like here about Jake Brenningstool. I think he could get early day 3 NFL draft capital. And we're going to finish things off here with Xavier Weaver, the wide receiver out of Colorado. I think Weaver could be a nice big man slot at the next level here. You could play him inside. You could play him outside. He had a solid route running ability, good handwork, the ability to work well into the deep field as well at Colorado. So he put together some nice film in 2023, and I think it could give him a good boost. So we're going to take him here 48th in this mock draft. If you enjoyed the mock draft, folks, I'm telling you, this is the type of content breakdown analysis that we're doing every single day in the Rookie Big Board Discord and over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. The link to join will be in the episode description, and I appreciate you checking out this whole video.